Om Namo Shivaya. Om Namo Shivaya. Om Shivaya. So beautiful to be here today. Big welcome. So, a lot going on in the Sangha and a lot going on with retreats. We have a retreat next weekend, February 7th through the 9th. And please sign up. I hope you can join. If you need a scholarship for that one, let me know. I'd be happy to provide that. I know many of you with Kundalini and having a intense awakening process, like sometimes we don't go to work for a couple of years, And so if you need a scholarship, just let me know. Let me know. Beyond that, we have a retreat in Sedona scheduled, a very small, intimate, 16-person in-person retreat. And this one's, almost all the way full, but, if you're interested, let me know right away and we'll see if there's a spot. And it's always good just to check in with retreats because I've gotten on so many retreats just by being on the wait list. A lot of people get excited and then some people get nervous and scared and cancel or life happens. So just let me know if you're interested in details for that. Again, that's going to be a very small, intimate retreat, very powerful, of course. And then also just on your radar, July 13th through, I don't know, whatever a week is, I'll be at Kripalu Yoga Center. And so details are at the Kripalu Yoga Center website. And I'll post those all on my website soon. Okay. So that's all what's happening, retreat wise. And so I was reflecting a little bit on what to speak about again this week. And last week I shared some of the great difficulties of my path and just the experiences of it, the intensity, the shaking, the kriyas, the seizures, the headaches, the migraines, the falling away of the mind, and, great bouts of emptiness and, the mind becoming very silent and the body becoming very energized. And of course, when all that happens, especially when it happens quickly or swiftly, it's very shocking to our nervous system. And most everyone on this path needs a big dose of downtime, alone time, quiet time. And in the olden days, we just would have been growing up in the monastery, and this just would have been part of our life. But in the modern age, like we don't get big periods of silence. It's just like we have this idea in Western culture that you are always supposed to be working. Now, for the extent, ever since, humans began to stand up and walk upon this earth, we've always had huge periods of alone time, huge periods of silence. And, I'll share two stories. One is just kind of a funny one is I have these two little dogs, and what do they do for a job? They do nothing. They do nothing. They just hang out all day and wag their tail when Daddy comes out of his office. And, sometimes Buster barks, if he sees someone walking down the street. But they live a life in peace and play and openness where, everything is provided for them. The home, the food, love, support, whatever, safety is provided for them. And when we're on the Kundalini path, we need a similar kind of environment. We need just to be able to sit back and do nothing and be nobody while this massive awakening is channeling itself through our body and rewiring our nervous system, rewiring our consciousness. We need a big dose of downtime. But again, our culture, has this idea that you must work all the time. If you're not working, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. Now that, the second story I want to bring forward is uh, I live basically on tribal land, and I'm just like right on the edge of two big tribes in tribal territory here in the US in the Southwest. These big Indian reservations. And they're big, they're vast, they're empty, and not much is going on there. And I'll have friends, who live on the res, and I'll have friends who, they're either Navajo or Ute, and they have a huge degree of silence and depth and emptiness that's still in their consciousness. That's still in their consciousness. And because they haven't had this Western doing education for, hundreds and hundreds of years. They might have had it for 50 or 75, maybe 100 years, but it hasn't just been put in their psyche that they always have to be busy working, building, performing. And with Kundalini, one of the greatest lessons I learned was I went from being a yes man, which is just like, if there's any job, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll be the first of the line to show up and to help and to support. Kundalini taught me the process of awakening, taught me two big things that were in the form of a no. One was just this stepping back into Shiva consciousness and just allowing myself, allowing my life to be silent, to be silent, to be peaceful, for this to be the focus, is peace and space and emptiness. And then the second thing, of course, I had to learn to defend that. And the defense of silence looked like me saying, no, just no. Greg, do you want to go to a party? No. Greg, how about you want to go to this family reunion? No. You are invited to my wedding. I'm sorry. Sorry. Congratulations. But I'll be at home. I'll be in peace. Greg, would you like a drink? No. How about some sugary cake? No. How about constant stimulation? And how about a Super Bowl party? No. 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 I care less. My culture tells me this is the biggest event of the year. The biggest event of the year is God waking up in me, God waking up in each of us. We are the first person at this party. At this party. How about a work, Christmas party or someone's going away party? No, I don't have time for it. Hey, how about, your second cousin's funeral? No, no, no. And I don't want this teaching to come off as negative. We're saying no to the things that don't serve us, no to the things that deplete us, no to the things that drain our energy. And let's talk about some big ones. How about drama? Well, no to drama, of course. So people who cause drama, who are clingy, who are needy, who are codependent, they will never have any idea that we are going through a massive crisis of faith or spiritual crisis, spiritual awakening, that our body is being transmuted from the inside out, that our brain is literally being rewired. Yeah, I don't have time for drama. I don't have time for people who want to argue politics with me. It's just like, I don't have time for that. I don't have the energy for it. So anyone who wants to give us more difficulty, more limitation, more just egoic, samsaric confusion, at some point we step back into Shiva nature and we're just silent. We're just silent. We're just silent. And sometimes people are real persistent. We have to give them a firm no. As we say no to insanity. But then let's look at the flip side. We're saying yes to truth, Yes to true love, true compassion, healing support. And for someone who always said yes and who was always caregiving outside of himself, to say no to that, I actually had to learn to receive love, to receive support. I had to learn that it was okay to have my feelings validated. And so the only thing we have to say no to are the things that don't serve us, things that aren't good for us, things that are a waste of time or energy. And there may be a little nostalgic aspect of the ego that says, this isn't fair, this isn't right. And Kundalini will tell us, well, guess what? This is not a fair world. It's not a fair life. But it is an intelligent path. And this path is trying to give us something much, much greater. And so we may say no to like just endless small talk and, just like that kind of thing. But we may say yes to deep conversations where we're connecting with others in the truth and kindness and in harmony and love and support and actually being an awake, aware, sane adult. Like, do I have time in my schedule to watch reality shows with the Kardashians? Like, no, no, I don't have time for that kind of nonsense. But do I have time for satsang? Of course. Do I have time for the truth? Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes we have to make the boundaries within our own self. Like we might have crazy thoughts or insane thoughts or unhelpful thoughts. Thoughts like, oh, this Kundalini is going to kill me. Thoughts that I can't handle this. Thoughts that this is unfair. Life's not fair. There's something wrong with me. There's no room for those thoughts within me. But there is room for an investigation. For an investigation of the twisted point of pain within my psyche that is creating all these, thoughts of being a victim in the world. There's time to investigate that. There's time to open to that. There's time to be compassionate with that. But there's no time to replay those stories over and over again of poor me. This isn't right. My life should be different. I should be a millionaire or whatever people think. It's like, I should be a star. It's like, no, I am a star. I'm lit up with light. That's what's going on here. Is I am a star. I'm lit up with light, but I have no room in me for why don't people hear me or understand me? But there is room for me to understand myself, to get to know thyself. And so, most of you have your eyes closed, but let's all together open into a space of meditation and just begin to breathe and to feel inside. And just take a moment to reflect. What is it? What is it that you need to say no to? What is it that you need to take off your to-do list? What is it that's time has come to let go? To let go. What do we need to let go of? And so if we have a controlling nature, a do-gooding nature, a pleasing nature, an overachieving nature, an argumentative nature, an imploding, victimized nature, we can ask, am I ready to let go of some of these or all of these? Am I willing to open into Shiva consciousness and be this vast, spacious peace, which has immense room for Kundalini Shakti to flow, to integrate, to awaken, to enlighten, to embody? Is there room within me for compassion and kindness? And so I invite you to look and to see what's at the top of your list of what needs to be cut from the lineup. What needs to be cut? From the lineup. What needs to be released out of our life? What do we need to let go and let God? And again, sometimes it's our own thoughts. Sometimes it's a toxic relationship. Sometimes it's just we've made certain people in our life too important and they take up too much bandwidth. And we can still have them in our life. They just, we just need to, demote them. And of course, we need to promote ourselves. Because when we are going through such a difficulty, as a path of Kundalini awakening, we need to put ourself and God, the truth, as all one being, all one movement, first at the top of the list. And so let's have a little fun here with the chakras. And so as we start with the crown chakra, we can ask in the crown chakra, am I fully open and receptive to God? Or am I living my life backwards and saying no to God? And yes to ego, or yes to fear, yes to separation. Well, sometimes we start off our journey with walking backwards on the path, and that doesn't work. Can we open and trust and say yes to God? And in doing so, just noticing the crown chakra opening and receiving divine support, divine guidance. Sometimes we have a thought in our philosophical mind, I can do this all by myself, or I have to do this all by myself. Let's surrender that thought. Let's invite the grace of God, the grace of Shiva, the recognition that Shiva is our very nature. And so just noticing this great wave of relief. Unity comes online when we open the crown chakra and feeling down into the third eye and just noticing in the space of the mind, do I have false gods in the mind? And these false gods are our false thoughts, our limiting beliefs. We allow ourselves to be directed by political beliefs, tribal beliefs, sometimes false spiritual ideology. Sometimes it's confusion or ignorance. Sometimes it's our father's thoughts or mother's thoughts that we're not good enough. Sometimes this life should be different. And so we're surrendering the thoughts. We're surrendering limitation. Taking a deep, full breath and coming down into the throat chakra and just feeling into the throat and noticing what's going on in the throat. Sometimes we have great fear in the throat and this idea that our superego needs to guard against life. We need to control life, manipulate life. We might have thoughts that we're not allowed to express, we're not allowed to be ourselves. I invite you to take a deep, full breath and open the throat, and with a big exhale, just exhaling, releasing, emptying. In a sense, expelling untruth, releasing untruth, and allowing divine expression, heartfelt expression, inviting the truth to flow. The truth to flow. So breathing, feeling, softening, opening. Inviting the heart to light up with love and to begin to burn up. Beginning to compassionately embrace old, dense emotions of grief, of sadness, of heartache, despair, inviting it all into the light, to be burnt up, to be cooked, to be released, opening the heart and having a greater sense of faith that God is here and she knows what she's doing. Knowing and acknowledging that this awakening is a movement of truth, movement of light, movement of love, a movement of transformation, calling forth a great strength within the heart, a strength that can acknowledge that even if this is hard, it can still be quite good. Whereas a lot of us in our emotional heart has a belief, if it feels hard or difficult or painful, there must be something wrong. And the true heart, the deep heart, not the emotional heart, the true heart, the deep heart, let us get rooted here. Knowing and trusting in the light, knowing and trusting in love, knowing and trusting in the power, the strength, the nobility of forgiveness, knowing and trusting, plugging into the grace of God, the grace of love, the grace of compassion. And I invite you to look deeply right here, right now. Is there someone, something you need to forgive? Is there someone, something you need to release? And forgiveness is more an act of release, of renewal. It's not an act of saying, it's okay what happened to me. Let's acknowledge from compassion that it was wrong, it was painful, it hurt, whatever it was. But also, I'm not going to carry this any longer. So breathing, feeling, opening, forgiving, letting go, releasing, emptying out. Kundalini Shakti will force you to come into the present moment. You will have no choice to come into the present moment. And so can we choose to live in the present moment? Strong, awake, happy, open-hearted, light-hearted, empowered. So breathing, feeling, softening. Saying yes to love. And saying, no, I'm not going to allow the past to live within me rent-free. Continue to soften and open, coming down into the solar plexus and just noticing in the solar plexus is the solar plexus chakra, the third chakra center, right below the heart chakra. Is the solar plexus tied up in knots? Solar plexus is the home to your personal spiritual power, your personal truth, your will, your fight. And so I ask you, are you fighting a good fight? Fight for truth, fight for love, fight for freedom? Or are you engaged in needless drama? Pointless arguments online? Do you give your power away to people you don't care about? Do you give your power away to narcissists, to people who are confused, people who are egocentric, to people who don't have your best interest in mind, or who are lost souls? So we take our power back. We say no to untruth, no to BS, and yes to the truth. Shiva and Shakti are empowered beings. They are expressions of truth. And we must come into alignment with this. So breathing, feeling, opening, disengaging from power struggles, which are a waste of our time and a waste of our energy. Choosing to wake up and follow a path of truth with all of our energy, all of our power. So taking a deep breath, coming down into the space of the hara, and just noticing in the hara, do I have fear toward life, fear towards God, fear around my family, fear around being human, fear in relationship to others? And can we awaken here and harness our power and say no to fear and say yes to life, yes to learning, yes to growth, yes to awakening, yes to living in the truth, yes to being the only sane one in the room, yes to creating and building relationships with good people, sane people, wholesome people, other individuals on this path of awakening. Saying yes to good friendships, yes to good support, good healthy support. So breathing, feeling, softening, opening. Yes to truthful, healthy, supportive, intimate relationships. No to toxic relationships. And finally, taking a deep, full breath, inviting this fire, this feeling of happiness and joy, exuberance toward life to come online in the hara and in the root, rooting down into the earth, saying yes to God, yes to Shakti, saying yes to being the light here on planet Earth, yes to being the light, yes to being love, yes to being truth, yes to being peace in space. A great yes, awakening in the root chakra. Breathing, feeling, softening, opening into any aspects of the soul, the psyche that feel lost, alone, divided, orphaned. We welcome them back home to this space of truth, holding them, loving them, nurturing them, supporting them. And so we breathe, we feel, we soften, we open. We choose to stand in the truth and be the light here on planet Earth. And with that, I invite you to open your eyes and I welcome you into this space. Welcome you to this day. I welcome you into this moment. So now we're going to shift gears and move into sharing. And so please, with the sharing, I invite you to share something that you've had to learn to say no to and something you've learned to say yes to. And of course, how that has benefited your life. And you're welcome to share some other things. And if anyone's listening, when you're listening at a later date, you can write it in the comment section below. But right now, we're sharing. And for those